Hi, and welcome into another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you in the ninth inning of an 8-4 ball game. Sadly, it's not 8-4 Rangers. Rangers really just only recently in this game, and when I say recently, I mean last inning, came to life. The game was pretty ugly, pretty much no runs on the board up to this point. Had a little single from Andrew Kisner. I believe that was early on in the game, maybe in the third or fourth inning, something like that. But this one has not been very fun, much like last night. But we're here, as we always are. Rain or shine, win or loss, ready to talk it out. Rangers are in the bottom of the ninth inning right now. We've got the game kind of split screen right now with the broadcast. So we'll be giving you as much play-by-play as we can. Leody Taveras led off the bottom of the ninth inning with a single. Justin Foscue up right now. Before we get too far into our analysis here at Right on Rangers, y'all know we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers and especially the Rangers during baseball season. Thank you for joining us today, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Appreciate the support. A lot of different options out there for Rangers content. Thank you so much for choosing us here at Right on Rangers. All right, y'all. Justin Foscue just struck out swinging. So there's one out total in the inning. Leody stole second base. I think they're still going to give him a stolen base there. Didn't quite look like it was defensive indifference. Jonah Heim is up now, pinch hitting for Andrew Kisner. So we'll see if Jonah Heim can provide a little spark, make this an 8-5 ball game. One out in the bottom of the ninth inning. And by the way, Justin Foscue struck out swinging, but had a nice hit earlier in the game. Foscue with his first extra base hit of his major league career. And that extra base hit did spur on an opportunity for the Rangers. Didn't end up coming through, unfortunately, but nice to see Justin Foscue coming in, hitting at the bottom of the order, collecting a hit. It's something that the Rangers have been lacking the past few games. Bottom of the order actually was probably the most prevalent form of this lineup tonight. You had, everybody in 1 through 5 go over, with the exception of Wyatt Langford, who doubled to end, I believe, an 0 for 26. I mean, that's pretty brutal. Leody was like on an 0 for 15, 0 for 16. He collected 2 hits tonight. So a couple of bad slumps get broken tonight for the Rangers. Wyatt Langford, his 0 for 25, 0 for 26. Leody, his 0 for 15, both broken tonight. Sadly, though, still in a deficit. 8-4. Rangers are losing here. Jonah Heim still up to bat. He flies out to the left fielder here, and now we have 2 outs. Bottom of the ninth inning, Rangers down to their last out, and we will have Marcus Semien come up to bat here, and then we'll be able to launch into our full post-game analysis. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. See some comments coming in on YouTube. Thank you so much for the support. Hi, appreciate you tuning in today. So we will have everything from this game, and there's a few, I think, really key moments, some things to talk about for sure. I know that maybe this comes across as a game to forget about. I think there's a few moments that we got to talk out here. So we're going to get into it here in just a little bit. Leody, by the way, advances to third base on a balk by Craig Kimbrell. Again, Marcus Semien up with 2 outs here. Ball 1 outside. As the Rangers try and make this an 8-5 ball game, we shall see what they can do. Orioles are a really good team. I mean, I think we have to remember that. The Orioles are a very, very good ball club. I see a lot of panic among Rangers fans. I'm frustrated too. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not all sunshine and rainbows here at Right on Rangers. But I will say this. You got to keep the bigger picture. This is a very, very good Baltimore Orioles team. The Rangers obviously got the best of them last October. Rangers were on a mission. I think the Orioles had some pretty high expectations last year. And this year, they are looking even better, I would say, than they did last year, despite flaming out in the first round against the Rangers. So this is a really, really good Baltimore team. Marcus Semien fouls this one off. It is a 2-2 count. Rangers down to their last strike here. So I keep it all in perspective. And with the Mariners and the Astros playing each other this weekend, there is an opportunity really for this to kind of be a bit of a wash in terms of the series as a whole. Both Astros, Mariners, and then Rangers, Orioles. Again, with the Mariners and Astros playing each other this weekend, beating up on each other, it might still work out where the Rangers really don't end up losing a lot of ground. I do think you have to focus on that positive. Now, if you have Houston or if you have the Mariners running away with that series, a total sweep, then maybe you have a little bit more concern. The Mariners lost last night. Houston overtakes the division by percentage points. So Houston now in first place. Before we hit the panic button, let's see what happens in the Houston and Mariners series. Let's just see what happens. Because if the Rangers are still 5-6 games out after this series, and after the dust settles in that Mariners-Astros series, I'm not sure that there's really a whole lot lost or gained. I mean, literally, but also figuratively. I just don't think you panic if that Mariners-Astros series turns out in a positive way for the Rangers. Marcus Semien just walked, by the way, so Corey Seager up to bat. Siegs extended his on-base streak to 20 games, and that was on a walk in the 8th inning. So Corey Seager, the active leader in terms of on-base streak in the major leagues. He had one close to 30 games earlier in the year, went ahead and just started a brand new one. Rangers have runners at first and third with 2 out. Corey Seager up to bat. Foul ball on a pitch, pretty much center cut by Kimbrel, right down the middle. Let's see if Siegs can keep the rally going here. I sure would like to see the Rangers tack on a little bit and then go in with a positive mindset, hopefully seeing some runs scored here heading into Sunday's game. Who knows? Maybe miracles can happen here, but Corey Seager, 1-1 count at the moment. We'll bring it to you live here, and we'll be checking comments throughout. Called strike 2, so once again, Rangers down to their final strike. We shall see if Corey Seager's got a little 2-strike magic. Let me go to some comments here while we're watching things live. Foscue, yeah, I think we're going to get into the Foscue call-up in DH in just a little bit. We'll get into that. I have some thoughts I want to share with you guys. Just kind of keeping my eye on this Corey Seager at bat at the moment. We shall see what happens. Looks like Sieg strikes out swinging here on a pitch that was center cut again, a little high, and that is how this one ends. So the Rangers lose this game 8-4. They drop the first 2 games of their series against the Orioles. Coming out of the All-Star break, definitely disappointing considering how the Rangers played before the All-Star break, taking the last 2 in Houston. As I was saying, for anybody joining a little bit later on, this is a good Baltimore Orioles team. Let's not pretend like we're losing to the A's or we're losing to the Rockies. We did that earlier in the year, unfortunately. But let's not pretend that we're losing to the bottom of the league here. We're losing to probably a top 3 team in baseball right now, and it is what it is. Fortunately for the Rangers, as I said probably just a few minutes ago, you've got a fortuitous series going on right now with the Mariners and with the Astros. You hope that they can play a little back and forth. So ideally, what you would have happen is maybe you get Mariners winning tonight, you get Houston winning tomorrow, and you just have them do the ping pong thing all the way through the weekend. And then regardless of what happens in our series, we're able to still not hit that panic button quite yet and continue to play our game, get back hopefully on a winning positive note against the White Sox. I think at this point, if you don't get a win tomorrow, you really, really need to think about sweeping the White Sox. And that is not an easy thing to do against any team. But if they don't win tomorrow, if they get swept by the Orioles, again, got to see what happens in the Mariners-Astros series. Got to see what happens there first. But I'm not hitting the panic button. There is a 4-game set coming up with the White Sox. I think that greatly benefits the Rangers. If they are able to go 3 out of 4 or sweep, I think that they will absolutely be right back in it. So even with a sweep tomorrow, and look, I'm not saying that I think the Rangers are going to get swept tomorrow. I think that there is reason to believe that they can get a win. We'll get into that soon. But I will say this, with a sweep, you got to win at least 3 out of 4 games against the White Sox. Got to win at least 3 out of 4 if you get swept. Even if you don't get swept, you still got to win 3 out of 4. But all is not lost. And the game, by the way, between the Mariners and the Astros is 0-0 right now in the third inning. 0-0 in the third inning. So, guys, like I said, let's pump the brakes. You're going to see a lot of negativity today on social media. You're going to see a lot of negative vibes going on from Rangers fans. I follow enough pages and enough groups online to know there are definitely going to be people out there saying to sell the team and all that. Don't be overreactive right now with the Mariners and Astros playing each other. It might work out just fine for the Rangers, even getting swept by the Orioles. It's just unfortunate. I mean, look, there's a couple of things that I think going into this series you really liked. You had Evo and Scherzer going back to back. You lined it up perfectly, and both Evo and Scherzer just didn't have it tonight. Just didn't have it tonight. And that's unfortunate, but you have to live with it. We threw our best. Those are probably our 2 best pitchers going right now, and it didn't work out. So, look, I agree. You got to take 3 out of 4 against the White Sox, preferably sweep the White Sox. Strong preference there. Then you're 4-3 on the first 2 series out of the All-Star break. I think you take that. What's up, my guy? Thanks for tuning in, by the way. If you're still hanging out, appreciate you. John, what's up, buddy? It says comment, by the way, for anybody that is listening podcast style on Spotify or on Apple. John says the Orioles left so many people on base tonight. It was a lot. It was a ton. I was actually looking at that before I got on the live. This game could have been way uglier than what it turned out. Orioles left 15 runners on base. They were 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position, and they still won 8-4. This team is a juggernaut right now. That's why I'm saying pump the brakes on sell the team off. This is a juggernaut Orioles team right now. The Rangers got extremely hot at just the right time last postseason. We managed to roll through them. This is a very good Baltimore team, and we have some positivity in the rest of the AL West with every team in the AL West beating up on each other while we're playing the Orioles right now. So I would say, yeah, it could have been a lot worse. I am going to talk a little bit about Adolis Garcia. And we've already talked through the whole conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy, really. Sorry, getting a little over dramatic, but we've talked about the is Dolly hurt? Nobody's really saying anything. Of course, everybody's a little bit banged up at this point in the season, but nobody's really saying anything about the Dolly injury. At this point, I think it would make every Rangers fan feel better if they did come out and were just honest about it. If he's ailing to the point where you are dogging fly balls, not running 100% at even those in between, maybe you get it, maybe you don't type fly balls, I don't know. I've got to say, I was super disappointed with that effort on that fly ball and whatever it was, the 7th or the 8th inning. I think it might have been the top of the 8th. Dolly might not have got to that even on a dead sprint, but at least make it look like you're trying. And there was no effort there. And I'm not going to sit around and just freely excuse, well, he's probably hurt. Look, I got to call BS a little bit on that. If he's hurt, it should be disclosed. If he is that hurt to the point where you can't go after fly balls and crash in at 100% or pretty close to it, you shouldn't be playing out in the outfield. You should not be playing out in the outfield. Maybe you can DH Dolly, but it is a coaching sin if they've got him hobbled out there playing right field when there's other options available. Look, I understand Foscue got the call up. Foscue's going to be DHing. That tells me, by the way, that Josh Young and Evan Carter are probably not as close as we think. I'd love to be wrong, but Foscue getting called up to DH at this point with what we thought was going to be an early return after the All-Star break from Evan Carter and from Josh Young, the Foscue call-up kind of tells me that those guys are probably still a little far away from coming back. Now, what does that mean? Probably not this week. Probably not this next week ahead. Maybe late next week. I don't know. It's unfortunate. I was hopeful that for the White Sox series, we would get Josh Young back. We'd get Evan Carter back. It's looking like it's going to be later on, unfortunately. But that's what the Foscue call-up tells me. I think with Foscue playing, you have a little bit less flexibility to DH Dolly if he is hurt. But again, come out and just be real about it. Because meanwhile, you've got Rangers fans just thinking he's not caring out there, giving 100%. I don't know. I know that with baseball, it's a little bit finicky. It's a little different with disclosing the injuries. But I don't see any reason to hide the injury. I mean, y'all can help me out. I don't see any reason to be hiding the Adolis Garcia injury if there is one. Again, this isn't like hockey or football where it's a contact sport and you don't want to be disclosing injuries because you don't want guys targeting the bum knee that you got or the bad quad or hammy. Now, this is baseball. What does disclosing an injury do for the other team? So if he's really hurt to the point where he can't run after a fly ball, say it. Because I do think that was ridiculous. The first time you've heard boos, I think, this year at Globe Life. I mean, I've watched a lot of Rangers baseball, whether it's on the radio or whether it's watching it on TV. I don't think I've heard the boo birds come out like I heard tonight after that after that pop fly that fell right kind of in between Adolis Garcia and Leody Taveras. Did look like Leody was hustling all the way, but Adolis pulled up quite early. And look, I don't care. It just doesn't look good. With the injury or no injury, I know that the announcers, Baxic, all those guys are going to try and excuse, but the reality is he wasn't given 100%, totally dogging it on that fly ball, and it's not acceptable. And if he is hurt, why are you having him play outfield? If he's not going to be going after it, don't have him play the outfield. I know you're limited with the DH right now. Don't think Foscue is going to be able to play the outfield. He's an infield guy, but it's a crime. I mean, it is a coaching sin. If he's truly hobbled with knee injuries and you've got him out there playing right field, I mean, you don't mess around with knee injuries. You just don't. So if he does have like a knee injury that's causing him to not be able to run hard, why is he playing right field? That makes no sense to me. So I got to call BS on anybody excusing him because he's playing injured. Either disclose it, make an adjustment, or stop making excuses. That was ridiculous. People were booing. It was very obvious on TV, on the radio as well. I actually kind of have both going at one time. I know it's maybe a little bit weird or nerdy, but I like to hear from both sides. I just turn one up, turn one down sometimes. And it was pretty obvious on both broadcasts. The boos were there. And I have not heard that this entire year, despite all of the bad games that the Rangers have played. And there have been some bad ones. So let me go to some comments here. I spoke for a while there. Let me talk this through. So Wyatt Langford broke an 0 for 26 tonight. He definitely needs to start hitting if the Rangers would like to be competitive down the stretch to maybe try and pull off winning this AL West. We can't have Wyatt Langford going 0 for 26. Now, he doesn't need to get multi-hits every game. I mean, we can deal with an 0 for 4 occasionally. We can't deal with 7 straight 0 for 4s or 6 straight 0 for 4s, whatever it was. So from the 4 spot, it's the same thing with Adolis. Adolis was hitting cleanup and you were getting consistent 0-fers. You just can't have that from the 3 or from the 4 spot in your lineup. It's a killer. There are so many opportunities for those guys to drive in runs. So for Wyatt, I don't think you need him getting 2 hits every night, but you need him to be getting at least a hit every other game at minimum. But these long 0 for stretches, it's just a killer for your team. He is going to have to play like he did in June and into early July if the Rangers want to have a chance. I absolutely agree. Time's running out. I mean, with the Josh Young injury and just him not getting better, I mean, look, we're going on. I mean, this is crazy, but we're going on 3+ months for this Josh Young injury. It's really crazy to me how long this has gone on. Josh Young was injured in early April. We're at what, 14, 15 weeks for this wrist injury? I really don't know what to make of it. I told y'all I broke my wrist in college, and it did take me a little while to get full strength and for my wrist not to be sore. But I will say this, it is concerning to me how long this is actually taking to heal up from what the original timetable was. Wasn't the original timetable like 10 to 12 or something like that? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've got it wrong, but you're at 3.5 months, so 14 weeks, and it looks like it's going to be more like 16 weeks before this injury fully heals and he can come back and play. I don't know. I have some questions. Don't want to get too deep into it, but the Rangers have had a ton of injuries this year. Pitching injuries. They've clearly had some injuries happen from all sides offensively as well. But I know the fracture was pretty severe. I know it was like a 7 different places broken, but it is crazy to me how long it's been taken. I do agree. Look, thank you. You got to bring a little sanity into the overreaction, perhaps. It's hard with fractures. It is. And I don't doubt that he's got some wrist soreness. Josh Young, we're talking about here, Rangers third baseman, injured in early April, getting hit by a pitch. But it is frustrating. I know he's got to be frustrated. I just don't know if they're going to get him back in time. And what I mean by in time is, they're going to have to make a decision pretty soon on whether they're going to be maybe a mild seller, hold, which I would probably do. I'd probably just hold. Y'all heard me toss out, maybe you trade a guy like Mike Lorenzen. Whether you want to be a seller, whether you're in it or not, I think you could get some value for a Mike Lorenzen with the surplus of pitching that you have. I would be a fan of something like that. I don't think you need to sell everything. I think that would be pretty wild, considering that the Rangers are pretty well set up for next year, unless you really know that you are not going to have certain guys as a part of the long-term plans, and you've got a backup for next year. So let me give you a wild example. If you did trade Adolis Garcia, let's just say you wanted to trade Dolly away, and I don't know if the Rangers are even considering that, but let's just say that was out there, right? You've got to have a backup plan. You've got to know what you're doing next year without him. Are you going out to get an outfielder in free agency? Are you living with Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, everyday guys, plus whoever else? I don't know. If you're going to make trades, the Rangers need to have clear backup plan with competitive 2025 in mind. You've got to have a backup plan if you're going to do anything bigger than sell off the expiring contracts, right? The Rangers have multiple expiring contracts. It wouldn't shock me to see them sell off some of those guys if they continue to lose games. Personally, I don't want to see them trade anybody beyond a Mike Lorenzen, maybe an Andrew Heaney. They might end up trading an outfielder. They've got a surplus in that department. Derek Hill DFA'd today, which I think should tell you something. They're already going to start doing some weeding out. You've got Robbie Grossman. You've got Jankowski on the bench. Evan Carter's going to be coming back. You've got a surplus at the outfield position. So it wouldn't shock me. We see a lot of movement with the Rangers and their outfielders close to the deadline. I do think that they're going to have to continue to DFA some guys. Is Robbie Grossman going to make it? Is Travis Jankowski going to make it through the end of the season? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's continue going on. This is back to the Adolis Garcia injury. Yeah, I don't feel like he has been the same since he hurt his knee. And I know he had some injuries, obviously, in the postseason too. I still say if he's hurt and if you clearly know that he is hobbled, why are you playing him in right field? You shouldn't be playing Adolis out in the outfield if the knee injury from last year or whatever is still hobbling him. I just don't think that is a wise move. So for me, unless the Rangers are disclosing it, I have to assume that he's good enough to go, and you've got to be going 100%. You cannot be dogging fly balls in your home ballpark, not with the season that you're having. Adolis is about to be hitting under 200. You cannot be dogging anything at this point. It's already been a disappointing year. At least make the fans think that you're trying and giving 100% out there. I don't think most of us fans think that Dolly is giving his all out there right now. How could you when you watch plays like that in the 8th inning of tonight's game where Dolly slows up about 2-3 seconds before the ball even hits? It's ridiculous. So either disclose the injury or nobody should be making excuses for the lack of hustle. Let me keep going here. What's up, my guy? Thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate you. This says, by the way, for anybody listening, these guys need to stop thinking that every time they come to bat, they need to forget that they can hit it over the fence every time they come to hit and stop swinging at everything on the ground. So basically, simplify the approach at the plate. Stop swinging at crap, right? You got to have good plate vision and good plate discipline up there. And I agree, the Rangers don't have it. They commented on how many 0-1 counts the Rangers would get into immediately tonight. Meanwhile, the O's are working counts, making the Rangers pitchers go deep into at-bats. And I think that pretty much sums up the problems that the Rangers are having offensively. The Rangers are an aggressive team. And that starts from the top. Marcus Semien and Corey Seager are two very, very aggressive hitters. And that does set a tone for the rest of the team. Now, there's a difference, though, between Corey Seager, 2-time World Series MVP, and some of the other guys that the Rangers have in their lineup. So I'm good with Corey Seager being aggressive because when he gets 2 strikes on him, you know he's going to bear down and make sure that he's only swinging at good pitches. But there's some guys that get aggressive early, they get into a hole, and they become a very, very weak hitter with 2 strikes. And I do think that that is kind of the issue right now with the Rangers and some of their hitters. They're being aggressive early, which, fine, be aggressive early. But then when you get behind in counts, you have to actually be good and be able to be disciplined in those situations. And the Rangers players, the lineup, by and large, is not able to do that. You see a lot of bad swings when the Rangers have 2 strikes, even when they just get behind an account in general. So I do agree with this. Simplify the approach at the plate. Keep things simple. Don't overthink things up there. Right? Take what the game is giving you, what the pitcher has given you. Move runners over. These are all things that the Rangers have struggled with this year. Small ball. We're not talking about just bunting. We're talking about productive outs. Right? Moving base runners along with less than 2 outs. These are all things that the Rangers have struggled to do this year. Absolutely. The O's hit a ton of home runs. They are a fun team, no doubt. They are a very, very fun team to watch if they're not playing your team. Ton of fun to watch the O's. I've really enjoyed watching them. Whenever I'm not watching a Rangers game, they've just got a bunch of young, amazing talent. And look, after being so bad for several years there, thinking about the Manny Machado years when they had him out in Baltimore, it's fun for them. They are a great team, an entertaining team to watch, but not against your team. And the Orioles hit a ton of home runs. And they, once again today, just plagued the Rangers with the home run ball. Right? You had Urania come in after the Rangers sliced the lead to 4-2 and immediately give up a bomb. Y'all know that's one of my pet peeves too. You score 2, you get a miracle 2-out, 2 RBI single from Knizner. And look, y'all know I have been hard on Kiz. The man produced the only, well, for a long time, I should say. I know we had a little late rally. 2 of the only runs in this game. And he came through. Look, I just feel like at this point, you've got to take whatever you can get. I agree with John. Singles win games too, 100%. But you got the miracle 2-out, 2 RBI single from Knizner, and then you give up the bomb. You give up the bomb, make it 5-2. You got to have a shutdown inning after you cut the lead. It didn't happen, and the Rangers really never got it back after that. A 2-run deficit's very manageable. But then you just allow the Orioles to keep tacking on and tacking on. Right? Then in the 6th inning, you have another home run given up by, I believe that was Jose Leclerc. And Jose Leclerc had been pitching very, very well of late, but it was not his best outing today. 1 inning, 3 base runners, and one of those was a homer. So not ideal when you've got the O's hitting a bunch of home runs, and meanwhile, you're really not hitting any. The Rangers obviously got a home run last night from Nate Lowe, but no homers tonight for the Rangers. And meanwhile, you've got the Orioles hitting 3. I mean, they've done that all series long. But I agree. Singles win games too. Rangers got to take what the game is giving them sometimes. The home run ball is not coming for them right now. They don't have a lot of guys that are getting hot at the same time with the long ball. They'll get 1 or 2 guys that hit a few home runs in consecutive games. They can't get everybody on the same page with it. So, look, the Rangers have got to squeeze every ounce of production that they can out of this lineup and take the runs whatever way they can get. I love the Rangers too. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Appreciate the support. So, comment says, I love the Rangers, but the offense is so bad. You know, I was actually just telling my wife that tonight. It's like the 7-2, and you're just like, this offense is just painful to watch at times. I said, if I wasn't doing this as a job of sorts, I wouldn't even have watched the rest of tonight's game. And I mean, maybe that makes me a bad fan. I don't know. But if I wasn't hopping on a podcast to do this with you guys, this would have normally been a game that I probably shut off 6th or 7th inning, especially when they go up 7-2. Now, this year, with doing Right on Rangers, I'm trying to watch pretty much every game to the end. It is painful sometimes, y'all. I'm just going to be totally real and transparent with you. It is painful to watch some of these games to the end. I love the Rangers as well. This could not summarize any better my feelings right now. Love the Rangers to death, but it is painful to watch them in some of these games because you just know if they don't have a lead in the 7th inning or on, they're probably not going to win the game. If they don't have a lead in the 6th inning and on, they're probably not going to win the game. And that is really tough as a fan. And the Rangers, the stats back that up, by the way. The Rangers have only won like 4 games this year out of almost 40 when they trail after the 7th inning or after the 6th inning, excuse me. So as a fan, it's demoralizing. You know, if the Rangers don't get out to that early lead and keep it, it's probably not going to be a W. All right, let's keep on going here. More comments. The only thing I liked today was Knizner with 2 outs. Go Rangers. Pitching was terrible again. And again, we talked about this too right at the beginning of the live tonight. You threw your 2 best pitchers against the Orioles. It's kind of like we threw our best and we just weren't good enough. I think that is a little bit sobering. Now, look, the Orioles are I don't want to say the best team in baseball because I think the Phillies are up there, but the Orioles are a top 3 team in baseball. So I'm not going to pretend like this series and the 2 losses is like a dooming thing for our season. I don't think so. Keep it in perspective. Plus, you've got the Mariners and Astros beating up on each other this weekend. I think that the Orioles 100% are going to be close to a 100-win team again. I don't think that there's a lot of shame or embarrassment in losing to them. I would like to see these games be more competitive, especially from Scherzer and Evo. But we threw our best. It didn't work out. The Orioles are a really good team. Let's see what we do against the White Sox. If we start dropping games to the White Sox, we go out and lose the first 2 games to the White Sox, you're probably going to see a little bit of a different tune out of me, because at that point, mathematically, you're just getting close to out of it. I mean, at that point, it is getting close to the end. I mean, right now, you're 6 games under 500. You lose tomorrow, and then you lose the first 2 to Chicago. You're 9 games under. I wouldn't even sit here and pretend like I feel like the Rangers have a good shot at that point. It's a long shot, a very, very long shot if the Rangers lose the next 3. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens in the Mariners-Astros series. We threw our 2 best pitchers last night. Today, it didn't work out. Now, for tomorrow's game, let's go ahead and take a look. Tomorrow's game, we're going to be throwing Andrew Heaney, who, if you remember Sunday Night Baseball, this was a couple weeks ago, Sunday Night Baseball, pitched probably his best game of the season against the Orioles, and Wyatt Langford hit for the cycle. So maybe Andrew Heaney's got the magic once again and is going to come through and follow up his performance against the Orioles on Sunday Night Baseball a couple weeks ago with another epic performance. The Rangers could sure use it. A win tomorrow would be most helpful. They win tomorrow, I don't think we need to be panicking really at all. If they do lose tomorrow, you start doing a little bit of some serious scoreboard watching. If the Astros sweep the Mariners, that's trouble for the Rangers. Hopefully the Mariners can take the game tonight or take the game tomorrow. You want to see a 2 out of 3. You don't want to see one of those two teams sweeping at this point. By the way, Astros are up 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th inning. 2 outs. Mariners are up to bat right now. That game's in Seattle. You really need 2 out of 3, one side or the other. You can't have a split. It's a 3-game series, I believe. I'll have to check that out and make sure. Looks like on Monday, the Mariners are hosting the Angels, and the Astros are playing the Athletics in Oakland. So look, the Rangers are the only team not playing an AL West opponent. It really would have been nice to do some damage in this series, but you've got to do some damage next week against the White Sox. But if that series with the Astros and Mariners can go 2 out of 3, one side or the other, Astros take 2, Mariners take 2, and the Rangers get a win tomorrow, I don't feel like you really lost a lot this weekend. And now you can just focus on that White Sox series. The Rangers record right now is 46-52. 46-52. They're about 5 or 6 games out of first place. Frankie, what's up, by the way? I was responding to all your comments, but thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. He was asking about what the record was for anybody wondering about the tangent I'm on right now. Anyways, we're going to keep things rolling here. So we've got a few other things to note, a few other things to talk about before we fully focus on the game for tomorrow. So let me just run through the rest of the box score with you. So for the Rangers, we talked about Siegs, 20-game on-base streak, longest active in the majors. Very, very impressive. Simi had a nice game as well today. He walked 3 times, 0 for 2 with the run scored and 3 walks. You'll take that from your leadoff hitter. So no problems with Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. I think Siegs, unfortunately, with the offense being as bad as it is, Siegs is going to get a little bit more under the microscope. I think you've got to turn and look at him and say, we need you to carry us right now. It's unfair. I'm going to be very upfront about that. It's an unfair critique. Corey Seager hitting 265. Not terrible. He's driving in runs. He's hitting home runs. We do need a little bit more from Seager right now. And that's not meaning to be disrespectful or say that he's been terrible. But unfortunately, with how bad the Rangers have been offensively, we need a guy like Siegs to step up and start being semi otherworldly, especially at this point in the season. So I love the 20 game on base streak. We need Seager to start hitting home runs, driving the ball, extra base hits. We need that from Corey badly right now. It's unfair to him. So I'm being upfront right now. It's unfair to Corey. The rest of the offense should be doing something. But I don't have the confidence. I only feel confident that there's a few guys in this lineup that can help save the season, get really hot and save it. I think Simi's one of those guys. Seager's another one. And then I think you've got Wyatt Langford, Josh Smith. And look, if Adolis could somehow figure it out, that's a total game changer. If Adolis Garcia could even be half the guy that he was in the postseason last year for us against the Astros, that would be a season changer. But right now, those guys, basically the top of the lineup, those are the guys that need to turn this season around. 100%. This comment says from Natalie, they didn't win a lot of late games last year either. That was more, though, if you remember, last year's not winning games late was because they were blowing saves. This year, they're not getting ahead late at all. When they get behind and it's sixth inning or later, the record is terrible. Last year, you felt like the Rangers could get ahead, then they would just blow it late. That was the entire problem, blowing 33 saves or whatever it was last year. Scherzer and Evo definitely seemed a little bit rusty, and they were kind of talking about, at least Baxic was on the BAL broadcast, that Scherzer looked like maybe physically it wasn't 100%. I hope not. But he only went 2 innings today. I don't know how many pitches he threw. Looks like he threw a total of, let me check this out here, 53 pitches. So that's concerning. Maybe Scherzer, they just decided, dude, you don't have it today. We're yanking you. But I don't know, 53 pitches. Seems like maybe there was something going on there. I don't know. Not trying to put that negative energy out there in the air, but only throwing 53 pitches, I don't know. A little concerning. I'm interested to hear if there's going to be any type of update on him, whether, hey, he's 100%, hey, he's a little sore, or what. We'll see what happens. John says, have you seen a difference in Adolis' batting stance from last year to this one? I swear his front foot was turned on more than I remember. I might just be imagining it. You know, it's really interesting that you bring this up because it was in the Houston series that I noticed a little bit of the same thing. And I would really like to do a little bit of a deep dive before I come back to that. So let me revisit this, John. Don't mean to excuse myself out of a tough question, but I had the same thought. I think it was on Friday or Saturday night in Houston. And it just seemed like it was just a little bit different than what I remember back in the playoffs last year. So I don't think you're crazy. I don't think you're imagining it. I think there might be something to it. Let's see. I'll go do a look. I'll go side by side, split screen last year, this year, and we'll see if there's something that is noticeable. I mean, we might be grasping at air a little bit on that one. I don't know. We're trying everything here at Riot on Rangers, both myself and in the comments, to figure out what the heck is up with Dolly right now. What is up with this guy? And where did ALCS Dolly go? Where has that guy gone? So we're trying anything. We're throwing anything out there at this point. If you got an opinion, throw it in the comments, please. We need the help. What are the top positions that we need to improve? Good question. So at this point, as currently constructed, I think there's a couple of positions that I would point to. Now, are you assuming that everybody's healthy? That's a little bit of a different conversation. The Rangers do need to upgrade outfield. Right now, you have Wyatt Langford, You have Evan Carter, and I think you can assume that both of those guys next year in 2025 are probably going to be getting extended looks. I don't know. Maybe they're going to keep platooning Carter and only play him against righties for the foreseeable future. Personally, I'd like to see them play him every day. I don't think that's going to happen this season, but next year, I would love if the plan could be Evan Carter is our everyday center fielder. I think that's what needs to happen. Evan Carter has been an everyday guy his entire baseball career. They weren't platooning him down in the minor leagues. They were playing Evan Carter every day. So I do think Evan Carter needs to be an everyday center fielder for us. He got Wyatt in left. We'll see what happens with Thole. He's under contract for next year. I would really like to see an upgrade, though, at the outfield position. I think that would be huge. Now, Nate Lowe, first base, I think is the only other position that you consider. Now, Nate Lowe has had a great last month and a half. You would still like to have a first baseman that has a little bit better power numbers, that can drive the ball a little bit better. Right now, Nate Lowe, he kind of comes across to me as a slap contact hitter. I mean, and you look, there's a place for that in a lineup, but I don't know if it's from the first base position. I don't think they need to get rid of Nate Lowe per se. Nate Lowe could be a guy that you keep around. 100%. I think Nate Lowe could be a guy that you start platooning, but I would like to see a right-handed power bat, whether it's outfield, whether they bring in somebody that can play first base, maybe play a little bit of outfield as well. I think that first base and right field potentially are going to be the positions that the Rangers look to upgrade. I think that they're going to have to retool the pitching in the bullpen because Kirby Yates, Robertson, 1-year contracts. So they're going to have to do some retooling in the bullpen next year, depending on who wants to come back and what the price is. But if we're talking offense, it's right field and first base 100%. Gio says, I trust Andrew Heaney more than Scherzer right now. Let's win tomorrow. I got to agree with you. Andrew Heaney has been very solid for the Rangers. And again, Sunday Night Baseball a couple weeks ago in Baltimore, Andrew Heaney pitched his best game of the season. 7 innings, 2 earned runs, I believe, 10 Ks. It was Andrew Heaney's best start of the season at Camden Yards on Sunday Night Baseball in the Wyatt Langford cycle game. Hopefully he can bring some magic from that game into the game tomorrow. That is the plan. And it looks like on the other side, the Orioles tomorrow are going to be throwing Kramer, who has a 4.38 ERA. And in his last 7 games, he has a 4.21 ERA. He's coming off 3 very short outings. He got rocked in Chicago at Wrigley Field, 4 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. Against New York at home, he went 4 2/3, gave up 4 hits, 2 walks. So, look, I can't say that Kramer is anything to be incredibly worried about. I think the Rangers can hit Kramer for sure tomorrow. Hopefully, that's what ends up happening. What's up, my guy? Thanks for tuning in. Baseball Drip. Appreciate you. And by the way, if any of y'all are watching, you're not subscribed, not following the channel, not following the account, greatly would appreciate you doing so. Get notified anytime we go live. Keep up to date with all of our latest and greatest content as we post it. Thanks so much. What about releasing a pitcher? Depends on who you're thinking about. I think the Rangers are going to probably be moving on from certain guys. I don't know what that looks like right now. I think it kind of depends on who you pick up, who maybe is ready to come up from the minor leagues. I think that's going to be determined. I don't think the Rangers are really going to be DFAing any pitchers or sending down any pitchers at this point. Maybe when DeGrom and some of those guys come back, I could see it. Like, I don't know if Robert, for example, Daniel Robert, who pitched tonight, I don't know if he's going to be surviving Malley coming back. He's probably going to be one of the first guys to go. And if we look at who the Rangers have out in the bullpen right now you've got, Spores, you've got Yates, Robertson, Hernandez, and then you've got everybody that pitched tonight: Urania, Latz, Robert, Leclerc. I think Robert is probably going to be the first guy to go. And then after that, we'll see what happens. Aaron, what's up, my guy? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. I feel like Lowe would be fine if you were a 300 hitter, but he's not that either. Yeah, that's the hard thing. Like, if Lowe isn't going to be a power bat, Aaron, I think this is what you're saying, so correct me if I'm wrong. If Lowe is not going to be a power bat, you're not going to hit 250 with 25 to 30 homers. You at least got to be hitting 300. At least got to be hitting 300 or sniffing it. And Nate Lowe right now, I think he's in the 260s. Is that right? 270s, 262 average right now. So look, with how bad the rest of the lineup has been at times, I'll take a 262 average. I mean, Josh Smith leads the Rangers with a 286 average. Of course, Bosque 333 right now, but doesn't qualify. But you know what I mean. Nate Lowe is second on the team, actually third behind Corey Seager in batting average. If we're not going to have power from the first base position, we have got to have a guy that can hit close to 300. We do love the Gold Glove. Like I said, maybe Nate Lowe is a guy that you keep around next year. Clubhouse atmosphere, lefty bat off the bench, maybe a little platoon at first base here and there. I could see it. I like it. But I think at either right field or first base, the Rangers have got to get a right-handed power bat. Whether you acquire it through a trade, whether you get it through free agency next year, I don't think you can trot out the same old. And look, even if Dolly were to get hot, I'd be interested to hear y'all's commentary on this. Even if Adolis Garcia were to get hot, how many of us are feeling really, really confident that in an entire offseason, he's going to bring that back and do the same thing in 2025? Meaning, hey, he gets hot at the end of 2024. He's definitely going to be solid in 2025. I don't feel great about that. I felt good this year that he was going to come in, be a 240, 250 hitter, hit 30 plus homers, 35 maybe, and drive in over 100. I thought Dolly was going to give us that, no doubt. I don't know if that's going to happen this year unless he just catches fire, man. But I don't trust, even if Adolis has a good streak, I don't trust it's going to carry into 2025. I'd like to see them proactively go out and get somebody. We'll see what the money situation's like. I don't know who all the free agents are going to be next year. It's a little bit early to be talking about it, but I'm going to be interested to see who's available, outfielders, first baseman, and then we'll go from there. Adam, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate you. Adam says, for anybody listening, podcast, Spotify, Apple, do you think the Rangers will make a significant trade before the deadline? I don't think that they're going to make any significant trade in terms of acquiring talent. I think you might see them go get a bench piece, somebody that's going to provide you with some depth offensively. Maybe you go out and get an arm, a bullpen piece. But look, the Rangers have a surplus of pitching. I wouldn't be giving up anybody of value in the farm system to go acquire a bench piece or to go acquire a relief pitcher. It's just not the year to do it. So in my humble opinion, I really don't think that they're going to be going out and getting any big names. It would shock me if they do so, even if they were to win tomorrow and sweep the White Sox, go on a 5-game winning streak. I just can't see it. I really can't. I think they're counting on Josh Young and Evan Carter coming back and being good. And I almost think that's the play because the Rangers are going to be good next year. I said this last night, so I don't want to go on this point too much, but the Rangers have pretty much the same lineup, a healthy Josh Young, Josh Smith, Siegs, Simi. You got all these guys that are coming back next year. Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, Dolly's going to be back. Not that Dolly is an offensive juggernaut this year, but you know what I mean. And you've got Evo most likely and DeGrom as your 1-2. You've got Malley. You've got John Gray. You've got Cody Bradford. You've got Dane Dunning. You've got guys that are good enough to make the playoffs for you. So I think the Rangers would be wise to not give up a lot of farm capital at this point. Now, let me go ahead and go to this comment real quick. Aaron says, I'm working on source and info about Duran, but the Rangers are being very quiet about him. Strange. All I've heard is to not expect to call up again this season. Aaron, by the way, runs a page called Texas Rangers Fans Only. It's on Facebook. Highly recommend it. Great group. Love all the dialogue. There's a ton of different polarizing opinions on it, but that's what's fun about being a fan. Y'all know I've given you this spiel over and over. What's fun about being a fan to me is the community, going back and forth with people. You're not always going to agree with every other Rangers fan. I'm sure y'all watch me and don't agree with everything I say. It's all part of the fun of it, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sit around and talk Rangers baseball with somebody with their head in the clouds that never wants to admit the reality that's staring them in the face with this team. And I appreciate a lot of y'all commenting seem to have your head down here on earth when it comes to this Rangers ball club. And you guys know I'm always glass half full. But you got to call things like they are sometimes. The Rangers are in a rough stretch at the moment with their offense. Yes, they won down in Houston, but they didn't score many runs down there. It's not working out right now. Granted, they're playing the Orioles. But let me take it back here. That's all to say. Go and be a part of Texas Rangers Fans Only on Facebook. I post in there nearly every day, try and interact as much as I can. Highly recommend. But I'm really surprised Duran's not going to be getting called up again this season. And Aaron's been right on quite a few things, by the way. So there must be something to it. I really do wonder what their plan is going to be with him long term. Don't expect the call up. I'm assuming that means, and Aaron, you can help me out, they're not maybe even going to be considering trading him either. I don't know. I would have thought maybe Duran could have been a trade bait type guy, somebody you try and maybe go get something for. And I said last night, the Rangers, I think, would be wise to take offers on guys like Lorenzen. I don't want to see them trade Heendog, just being real. I don't want to see that, but I think they would be foolish not to take phone calls on Lorenzen and on Andrew Heaney, guys that are on expiring contracts that are pitching probably over what you would expect them to. I love me some Andrew Heaney, so I don't want to see them trade him. Lorenzen, look, I've loved watching him pitch. I appreciate everything Mike Lorenzen has done this year. I wouldn't be heartbroken if they traded him. The Rangers have a surplus of starting pitching. Malley's coming back. DeGrom's coming back. You really don't need Lorenzen. I mean, yes, you could move him to the bullpen. He could be a stretch guy, a spot start guy, whatever. But you could still win a World Series without Mike Lorenzen once you got DeGrom and once you got Malley back. And look, I know I'm not trying to say anything, y'all. So I know I brought up those two words, World Series, but nobody hold me to anything here. I'm just saying, if the Rangers were to get on a run here, make the playoffs, you can do that without Mike Lorenzen once you get some of these guys back. So we'll see what happens. More comments here. The coach needs to fire up the team. Look, Bochy is just, I think, Mr. Cool, calm, collected. I'm sure he gets on them. I don't know what the clubhouse is like 100%, but all you hear the Rangers talking about is how, calm and not volatile up or down Bruce Bochy is. And that is something that caused the Rangers, I believe, to win a World Series last year. So I don't think Bochy is the guy that's going to chew everybody out and light a fire under everyone. But look, organizationally, they've definitely started to do that. You had Duran get demoted. You've seen Doley drop in the lineup. I think he needs to probably drop down another spot. We'll see what happens. But I think organizationally, whether Bochy is in there chewing out the guys or not, I think they are starting to send messages. We'll see. Jack Leiter, I don't know if he's going to be up next year. I would say probably not. I would be really surprised if Jack Leiter was a rotation piece for us next year or a bullpen piece. I don't think the Rangers want him to be a bullpen guy. I think they want him to be a starter. And like I said, just let's do the math here. You've got DeGrom. You've got Evo. Evo's probably going to be back in all likelihood. I know Evo's technically on an expiring contract, but I think he'll be back. You've got Malley. You've got John Gray still under contract. You've got Cody Bradford. You've also got Dane Dunning. I mean, that's 6 guys right there that could be starters that I would rather have than Jack Leiter. So I don't believe Jack Leiter probably is going to be up with the club. I think they're going to let him continue to get starts in AAA. Maybe an injury comes up and he gets another opportunity like he did this year. I'd be really surprised to see Leiter again. I think it was very evident that he's just not ready. And I think he potentially, if the Rangers would have actually been a frontline team heading into the deadline this year, he might have been trade bait. I wouldn't have been surprised to see the Rangers maybe trying to shop him. I think last year it was hard because he was down in Arizona and he was kind of having big time struggles with the mechanics. I don't know how much value you really get out of Jack Leiter at this point. I think ideally he does really well to finish out the AAA season. He has a good spring training. I'm sure he'll get an invite to spring training next year. And maybe you look to get a trade for him mid-season. If he's still not cutting it at the big league level, I'd love for him to work out. But the first 2 starts in the big leagues were rough for Jack Leiter. Aaron, circling back to the Duran conversation, he says, not sure, source wouldn't clarify if Duran is going to be available in trade talks. But with Smith, Foscue, and Young and several outfielders, they seem to be good with leaving Duran down right now and have not explained why he was sent down suddenly. The only thing that I remember is CY basically just giving the blanket statement of, we need to start figuring it out, right? It's now or never. Like we've got to make some changes, right? That was kind of at the end of June, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only thing that they've said. I think they want to let Zeke figure some things out down there. We'll see if it happens. Right now, I think I went over the stats with you guys. Zeke is not killing it down in the minor leagues right now. For anybody that's curious, Zeke Duran, I think, is hitting pretty close to 200 in the minors right now. That's what it was last night. I don't know what he did in the game last night, but I peek almost daily at the minor league stats, and Zeke was hitting 200 even in the game in the middle of the game last night. So look, he's not going down to AAA and hitting 300 plus. So, I mean, not very encouraging if you were hoping for a Zeke Duran call up. And I do agree with the sentiment. What place is he going to have right now in the lineup? I just don't really think he has an obvious spot, especially with Foscue getting called up, with Josh Young coming back, with Josh Smith's emergence. There's not a great place for Zeke Duran to play right now. I think we caught up on all our comments. Let me go to the game tomorrow. I think we've done enough on today. Disappointing loss. Rangers lose 8-4. Good to see them score at least 4 runs. That's usually the magic number, y'all. 4, right? But just didn't end up working out. The pitching, uncharacteristically, did not get it done today. The Rangers usually were saying pitching was great, bats were terrible. Today, I think we can all agree we did not get the kind of start we needed out of Max Scherzer. Hopefully there's no injury or any weirdness there. I really was surprised to see him come out after only 50-something pitches. I know he was struggling a little bit, but nevertheless, it was a little surprising to me. If you have an update, if they've talked about Scherzer at all, post-game stuff, let me know. But I was a little surprised. Maybe he just didn't have it and they just wanted to save the arm a little bit. I don't know. But 2 innings and 50-something pitches, I was a little surprised to see him come out. So let's go ahead and let's look at the matchup tomorrow. Kramer versus Andrew Heaney for the 3rd and final game. Hopefully the Rangers can salvage a win. Let's go to the preview and let's check out each lineup and how they fared against the opposing pitcher. Give you a little bit of insight here. So we've got, by the way, right-handed pitcher. Kramer is a righty. We have a few guys that have some double-digit stats against Kramer. Nate Lowe is 2 for 10 with an RBI in his career. Marcus Semien is 4 for 12 with a home run, a solo shot. So, hey, Marcus Semien, hopefully he'll keep things going. Corey Seager doesn't have double-digit at bats, but he is 3 for 6. Corey Seager is in his career against Dean Kramer. We have Josh Smith, 1 for 5. And Robbie Grossman, I don't think he'll play tomorrow, but 1 for 2. Adolis Garcia is 1 for 6 against Kramer lifetime. Leote is 0 for 4. Now, on the other side, Andrew Heaney. Hayes is the left fielder for the Orioles, looks like 5 for 10 with 2 bombs against Heaney. Gunnar Henderson 0 for 4. Cowser 0 for 3. So 2 big bats right there that have struggled with Andrew Heaney in the past. I believe both of those are lefty on lefty. We have Kjerstad 1 for 3 with an RBI. Mateo 4 for 10 with the homer. McCann, the catcher, is, I believe, 2 for 16. Mountcastle is 3 for 6 with 2 bombs. Mullins 2 for 6 with a bomb. And then O'Hearn 3 for 3. That might be a guy to circle for tomorrow. Rutschman 1 for 8. Santander 0 for 8. Urias is 1 for 7 with the homer. Westberg 0 for 3. So, look, Andrew Heaney pitched very well a couple weeks ago against the O's. I would expect him at home to come out and do what he's done all season, which is keep you in the ball game. I think we're going to see a pretty similar performance, maybe 2 or 3 earned runs from Heaney, and hopefully the Rangers can salvage the third and final game of this series. Let me go ahead and do an AL West roundup, but while I'm getting there, let me go to the comments. I see a couple more here. Aaron says, one of our group members went to watch a couple games to see Zeke and said his body language was horrible. He didn't seem to care at all. You guys know I do read into the body language. I think you have to be careful with the body language and making judgments about it. But when a guy goes down and struggles in AAA when they get sent down, it's hard not to think, are they pouting? Are they not doing what they need to be doing mentally, physically, giving their all? I wonder about that when I see guys go down and hit 200 in AAA being major league players. So interesting, but not good for him. Not good for him at all. That's the worst thing that you can do. You want to go down to AAA and absolutely kill it. Hopefully Zeke can turn it around down there. Let's wrap things up and let's go through the AL West scores and roundup for today. We talked about Oakland and the Angels playing each other. They are in Oakland right now, and the A's are currently up 8-2. Actually, that went final. They won 8-2 against the Angels, so the Athletics get the win. And then we've got Houston up 1-0 in the 6th inning on the Mariners in Seattle. Right now, we are in the, I believe, bottom of the 6th inning. Mariners have a runner on first base, and they have no outs. So hopefully Mariners can take at least one of, I would say, the next 2. If the Mariners were to win both these games, I think that works great for the Rangers. You just don't want one of these teams sweeping. So I'd prefer that the Mariners win today. That guarantees no team is going to be sweeping. I think if you get one team taking 2 out of 3 in that Mariners-Astros series, it bodes very well for the Rangers, regardless of what happens tomorrow. Now, let me go with the standings, and that will about do things for us. We'll check the headlines for MLB, and then we'll get out of here. So the standings right now, the Astros and the Mariners are tied for first place. Houston technically first place by 1,000th of a percentage point. So if the Mariners were to win, they would go up a game on Houston. Astros would go up a game on the Rangers, and they would be up 6 games on the Rangers if that were to happen. If the Mariners were to get the win, same thing, 6 games up on the Rangers. So either way, the Rangers are going to be 6 games out. Rangers are 7.5 games out of a wild card spot, so better chance to win the division than to win a wild card at this point. And then headlines around the league. Dodgers walked it off again against the Red Sox. Well, not again, but last night, pretty epic grand slam from Freddie Freeman late to give the Dodgers a win over the Red Sox. The Orioles in first place. They are the first team in the AL to reach 60 wins behind a strong start from Grayson Rodriguez. Surging Pirates claim 6th straight for 50th win of the season. Albies and Rosario for the Braves. Late game heroics lead to walk-off win in game 1. They're doing a doubleheader with the Cardinals right now. 15 injured stars whose returns could be just as impactful as a trade. I'll be curious to see what this one is and who made it. Kyle Tucker and Verlander get mentioned. Let me just cut to the chase here. Michael Harris for the Braves, Merrill Kelly and Eduardo Rodriguez, sorry, for the D-backs. Mookie Betts and Kershaw for the Dodgers. Fernando Tatis for the Padres. Josh Young for the Rangers. Got a little shout out. Again, I'm a little worried that it's going to be too little too late for Josh Young's return. Foskew's call-up tells me that he's probably still a little bit away from coming back. We'll see what happens, but good to see the Rangers getting on MLB.com front page, kind of. Doesn't happen all the time, y'all. So we will celebrate anytime the Rangers are front and center on MLB.com. Now, I think that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Let's do it again tomorrow, hopefully under better circumstances. A Rangers win, and hopefully the Mariners, it looks like they just hit a 2-run bomb, by the way. 2-1 right now, Seattle leading Houston. Again, I think best interest in that series is you get at least one win from the Mariners. Now that Houston's won the first game, you just don't want to sweep. One of those teams hopefully loses one of the games, and then the other wins the two. And the Mariners looks like maybe you're going to be able to hold on to a lead tonight. We'll see what happens. So let's do it again tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Follow along. Subscribe to the channel if you're not doing so already. If you know somebody that loves baseball, loves the Rangers, please share this video with them. Tell them about the account. I'd be very, very grateful. Hope y'all have a great rest of your Saturday night and a good rest of the weekend ahead if I don't see you. But want to make sure that we definitely hang in there. It's a rough stretch here against the Orioles, but we'll flesh this one out, come back tomorrow. And I appreciate all of y'all providing the therapy for me, talking through. Hopefully it'll be after a win tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great night. We'll see y'all. And as I always say, God bless. Go Rangers.